Hey guys, it's Clay with Texas Knowhow again. Well, we've had some really nice weather, and it's middle of December, and we're having 70-degree weather in Virginia. So if you can believe that, I never would have thought I'd be sitting here on the 13th of December and just wearing a regular shirt and walking around. There's sunshine and everything. So I've got the truck pulled out of the garage. And I'm going to do a little bit of work on the cab because I want to get it primered where it was rusting. So the idea today is to get the seat out of it, the tank out of it, get the floor covering off of it, and reveal everything that I need to mess with on the floor. Take the bolts out that hold it to the frame, and then I'm going to tilt it back on the frame so it reveals the bottom of it to the front and sandblast it. So here we go. Got that out. Got the tank out. That tank is good, by the way, if anybody needs one. That's an original tank out of a 67. I'm going to keep my seats and reupholster them. There's my head the sun visors. And then I'm doing just like I did on the engine and just bagging everything, so I can keep it straight, with what the bolts were and what they did, like the bolts that hold the seat belts. Got the floor covering out. There's the trim. So this is the door jamb trim. It's aluminum. I'm cleaning that up. And these right here are metal, but they've been chromed and they're like pitted and not looking real good. I'm going to see if I can buff those back and get them clean. If I can't, I might just buff them down and paint them, and just go back with black trim or something. Okay, this is what it looks like in here. I kind of brushed over it real quick, and this is where the tank was. Obviously I'm not going back in with this tank. I'm going in the frame tank. It's going to be in the back of the frame. So next step is to get in here and just clean this up, and probably going to sandblast it in here as well. You can see that the floor pans are pretty good, except for when you get in the corners, which is kind of a typical area for these trucks because they slope downhill. This is something else I want to show you. You see a rat's nest in there? So, yep. As soon as it sit for just a little bit, they created a nest in here. And I found another one up in the headliner. You see a little piece of fuzz right there. It was right here in the middle. This headliner was up, and they had come up against it, and I think they were getting up by running up one of these A-pillars. So they were going under the dash and running up the A-pillar because they could get a grip coming up here and just coming on top of that headliner. Little boogers. So all that's clean. I hadn't decided what I'm going to do in here on this. I want to get creative. I don't know if I want to go back with a regular paper headliner. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something neat. So I'm going to get that nest out of there. I may go ahead and take all this out. The heat unit and everything. Just take all this out from under here. Get this off of here and check that firewall on this side. And that plastic vent cover, take it off. Get that out of there. Just get everything out of here that's going to get messed up if I'm sandblasting. You don't want that all in here and in your motor and everything. That's my center cover I got. See, this was a 3 on a tree, so it wasn't cut out for a transmission. And this is a transmission inspection cover I got from Tim. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to come inside these little divots right here, hold those little I forget what they're called, but they're like a bolt that's on a clip. I mean a nut that's on a clip. And they're underneath each one of these holes. And so if you look, you can see them all the way around. There's little indentions right there. I'm not really sure why this is indented like this, but I know what this hole was. They had an aftermarket bolt-on under dash AC unit in this at one time, and that was the condensate line that was dripping out. So they punched a hole and just knocked it. So I'll patch that, because that's another place that water can get in from underneath. My dash was horrible. It had an old dash cover pad on it that covered this, and you can see this is silicone. They had silicone rubbered it on. And when I took it off, that's what the old dash looked like. So the original dash, which is this one, looks horrible. So I got a lot of work on this little bugger, but it comes apart pretty fast. So I'm gonna start getting with it. As y'all know, front end Crown Vic's in it. I hadn't boxed the frame yet. That's still TBD. But right now I'm trying to get underneath there and get that frame finished out, because I want the entire frame to be painted black. And then this firewall will be all back original color. I did a little bit of sandblasting the other day just to test it right here. It looks like it's going to do good. And then I'll go back in here with my seam sealer, get that taken care of. But see, also, if I'm really going to clean up this firewall, I want to take that heater core out. It's loose in there too. Figure out why that's loose and what I need to do that when I go back it'll be tight. I don't want that rocking around. I may take off some of these brackets, and maybe my gas pedal, take it off. You know, just doing work today. So I thought I'd film it, give y'all a little update. Still hadn't got my Explorer rear end under it yet. It's cleaned up, kind of ready. That's the state I'm in. Alright, let's see if we can get this cab lifted up. I've already got the back bolts out, by the way. They're right here. They go right here, and they're under the tank. So, because a bracket goes on here that has a little U-joint, a little U right here, and your tank actually sits in that. So you can't get to these bolts until you take your tank out. Then you can unscrew these bolts on. And it's got that rubber in there between the frame. So that's how you get that out. Look at how much seam sealer they put right there on that back crack. Just sprayed a bunch of it. So I may rake all that out. The back of the cab looks pretty good. Except down at the bottom I got a little rust right there I'll have to cut out. I think that you can buy this back cab corner. That's what I'm going to have to do. Just cut that in. And then somebody had rear-ended this truck, and the bed actually came up and hit right here on this side and on the other side. The bed got jammed into the cab by getting rear-ended. Kind of dented it, so I'll be hammering that out, getting it straight. I can use this gas fill hole to help me actually pull that out probably. Pop it this way with a slide hammer. Once I get that all straightened up, take this trim off, of course. Once I get that all straightened up, then I'm gonna put a piece of metal plate in here and weld that shut, because my tank's no longer gonna be in the cab anymore. It's gonna be back here in this little groove. This is my manual floor shift column. This was for manual steering, floor shift. Picked that up from Tim as well. Alright, let me get that cab tilted up. Basically, I'm going to take the front bolts off, and then I'm going to try to rock it back like that, and I can sandblast the bottom of it. The front cab bolts, there's two of them that sit on these perches right here. This little panel reveals them. So you just got to take these screws out right here. I think I've used that before on different videos. Okay, there's that plate. And then you just look down in here and you can see these cab mounts are a little rusty in there, but they're not horrible. In fact, I might be alright with these cabs. This part staying, it's pretty solid. Now I need looks like about a 5/8. You look inside there, just a bolt. It has a drain hole. So I think it's about a 5/8. There's no nut underneath here at all. It's just sticking through, and I've already hit it with a little bit of PB blaster to loosen it up. So let's get a big ratchet and see if we can get that off. Yep. See what I mean? Come right off. You just need a little impact on it. Now, this bolt may have to screw this way too. goodness. That is on there. I'm going to put a short socket on here, and I'm going to put a cheater bar right here and get a little bit more leverage on it. So I need a 5/8. Put that down so I can get right on it. Let me push one more time, see if I can get it. There it goes. Sometimes you just need a lower vantage point to get you started. Yeah, that actually, I thought it was threaded, that little pad under there, but it looks like it wasn't. It was just rusted real bad. So once I started just spinning this whole thing with my hand and holding the top nut up here, I got it to let go, and so now this bolt's coming out. But you can see how that, I don't know if y'all can see that, top of that head is really rusted bad, pretty much gone. That little cab wasn't going to hold together very much longer on that. Wreck it, probably just let go. Now it's spinning in here. So we'll set that down on there and hold it. Get that off. That bolt's not as bad. This side didn't have as much water in it all the time. Here's that bottom piece. This side came apart a little better. That's the bottom, what was underneath the cab. Alright, now that we got the bolts out, all I have to do is unhook this steering right here when I get down in the yard where I'm going to sandblast it, and I can just lift this cab from the front with some help and just roll it back on the frame and sandblast all this, and I can get the frame underneath the cab all ready for paint as well. I think I'm going to remove the glass on this one because it's got chips and it's clouded up here on the sides, and the last time I got it inspected he said it was barely passing his kind of stringent rules. So I've got to work this trim out of this rubber right here, and I've been told to take your time and get it started, and you can get it up out of this trim without bending it. So I've got to get some kind of little tool and get underneath it, start working it up, get that off, and then I'll cut the rubber and push the glass out. That way I can redo my dash as well. I'm going to redo that dash. I'm going to make it just a metal dash like the body style before this just had a metal dash. And a lot of people were doing that, just cleaning it up really good and filling the holes where the bolts were and running with it like that, and that's the way I'm going to do it. Alright, I think this is pretty typical. I got pulled the heater down. Really all you have to do, just so y'all know, three bolts right here that hold this unit to the firewall, and they were out there, so somebody cut this one off a little bit. But if you take those 3 bolts out on the firewall, this whole unit will come down. You just got to take if you have a deluxe model, you got to take your vent tubes off, and there's 2 for the 67 anyway, there's 2 cables that come off of these switches right here, off of these knobs that you're pulling. You see it over by the gas pedal. This little rubber baffle right here. This one actually seems to be in pretty good shape, but I could tell it wasn't hooked on back here on the back. And of course it's full of leaves. So it's a good idea to get all this out, obviously. So I'll be restoring this completely, which means all this stuff will get redone. I'll pull this little clip off. It was right here. This kind of pinches that deal. There's probably supposed to be one here on the back too, but I don't know if you can reach up there and get it. And you can see the 2 holes in the firewall that go right there. And then see these little push through things that hold this whole, they're holding this whole mat stuff on here, this insulator. That's what these are. If you look through, that's what these little things are. and they had a big old blob of like seam sealer on them, that putty looking stuff on all the ones that was doing that, and then they just painted over it. It's kind of weird. I'll take my vent off right here. This is my little side vent right here where it lets air in. That's where it draws in fresh air. I'll pull that off. I'm gonna take this glove box out. I need a little shorty Phillips and just take these out. Take that little sucker off. That's my emergency flasher deal. Of course, get the rat's nest out. Oh, I took off my e-brake so I could get to that plastic thing over there and get it off. There's a screw in the very top corner I had to get to. That's another fresh air vent. Take those off. Getting there. Okay, one other thing you want to do, these right here hold the inner fender wells right where they're supposed to be. So they're adjustable with these big screws, these 3 big screws. And before you pull that off and repaint that and get your firewall done like you want to, take an 1/8 inch drill bit, because they're really easy to come by, and drill 2 holes somewhere on this flat. And that way you'll be able to, when you put all this back together, just get 2 1/8 inch drill bits and slide them in those holes, and it'll be indexed, and tighten it down. It'll be right where it was. So that's a trick. I'm just going to go right here in the middle of this right here, and then right over there. Right there, right over here. See that? Now I'll be able to put a drill bit in both of those and get that line back up when I want to put it back on. Alright, so now when I can take this off and get my POR 15, sand it down a little bit, recoat it, stop that rust, and then when I get ready to put it back on, there's my 1/8 inch holes right there. Just line it back up, because see, these in here move. You know, there's no telling where those would end up. So that's a little trick about body work. I wanted to show you how we're going to get this windshield out of here. What I did was I cut this little rubber trim after I got the chrome piece off, because this is a custom cap, so it had the chrome all around it, which I'll show you how I got that off. But I cut it right here underneath the glass with a sharp edge, and then I actually came next to the glass and I cut down this way too, so I did kind of a quarter cut on that gasket, and then I just grabbed it and I pulled it off. So now if you look, the glass is basically just kind of sitting here, you know, right along that rubber. And I kind of already, it's coming up right here because I already reached inside. I just reached around inside like this and pushed out, and the top of it is ready to go. So this glass is sitting here ready to go, and I did the back the same way. So on the back, I left that little piece in the center, see it right there? I left this little piece right here to hold it, because it's cut right here all the way along. And all we got to do is just pull out the top past this little piece right here and swing it out, and then we'll lift it out of the bottom groove and just take the back glass out as well. So we're going to try to get this on film for you. So we're going to try to get this on film. I'm going to put y'all right here on the tripod, and then what we're going to do is we'll hang it up on the wall. If you can see over there on the other side of my garage door runner, you can see we're just going to lift it up and set it in those little places right there. And then I've got some little tabs that will bend down or swing down to hold it. Okay. You ready to lift out? Get both hands around here. Go that way. Okay. Now that glass is in good shape. Like this, in the back of this system, and then I lay it against the wall and pull down this, and that holds that one. You need to have a good safe place to put your glass, because you're probably going to be working on the cab for a while and you don't want somebody to hit it or knock it or something, so I'm putting it up high in my garage up here. Okay, Alright, so it's already been cut like I showed you, and we're just going to push the top. Hey Connor, reach right here so that it doesn't pop off and hit this. You want it to stay in on the bottom. Okay, ready? I'm going to swing the top out like that. Yeah. Now it's going to pivot right here in the middle kind of. Okay, wait, don't lift up yet. Come out like this. Okay, get your hand out. And then now we're going to lift it right there so it doesn't touch. Up, there you go. Keep it off that metal. There you go. Feel better with it out here like this. Okay, I got it. Okay, we had to put the camera down, and it took two of us, but we got this up here. And then there's so much bow in this, I didn't anticipate. I thought right here in the front, right here in the middle of the bottom of the windshield, it was pretty straight across. It didn't have very much bow, and having these on 32-inch centers, you know, we could get it to lay up against the wall, but the more we pushed it against the wall, it started hitting our little glass, which is behind it. So this is the best position, and then what we did was we just took some rope and tied it up, so it's up there real good now. I mean, these are taking the weight. This is just kind of balancing it up here, so hopefully everything will be all right. Anyway, we got our windows out of the truck and got them up here out of the way. So, all right, I'm real happy with these. You just take a brush and forgive my filming while I'm trying to brush, but man, it's cleaned up nice. I don't see any rust right there. Now, where I do see a little bit is it's either condensation on the inside of the windshield ran down, which is probably what happened. Condensation from the inside of the windshield ran down and sit right in here. And with that dash pad on there, nobody could see this, and the sun would never dry it up. So that's one advantage to leaving this just sort of metal, is you can actually see down in here and make sure it's not wet whenever something like that happens. When you get a lot of condensation, or heaven forbid, you know, you leave your windows down or something. So I'll come in here, I'm going to knock the paint off of these, and I'm going to try to find a little piece of metal that'll just go up in here and hold it from the bottom and tack weld these up, because I'm staying with a metal dash. I mean, look at that nice factory paint underneath that dash pad. Was amazing. It's barely even scuffed. I mean, if you did a wet sand on that, it'd actually be a pretty nice finish. Now back here in the back, of course, where it's got a little bit of water standing on it and had been for a while, that's got to be redone. But boy, I just don't see anything that's horrible. Don't forget, you have to get these little plates here, these little metal plates. If you had it, that big factory dash, let me show you. You got to dig those out. They're embedded inside this dash, and they just actually embedded them in here. So I just got a screwdriver, kind of peeled back this old funky edge right here, and I got those plates out of there. See, here it is, what it looked like. See, it was just underneath this. Yeah, this was the nice little edge that you would see. But they still have the screw holes in them and everything. Lines right up. So don't throw away your dash pad without getting these pieces of metal out. I mean, these are the metal grates. I mean, I'll bead blast those, get them cleaned up, and I'll shoot them whenever I shoot the dash. And then the little thing that goes right here is when you take your AC and your defrost vent lines out, those will come out with it. Those little rubber things. And then I don't know what I'm going to do about those holes. There's just something about them that looks kind of retro, but I think I'm not going to leave them. I think I'm going to fill them as well. I'm not sure what everybody's doing, if they're cutting that completely out and putting a little piece of metal in it and then shaping it back, or they're trying to fill every one of those holes. You guys can chime in. This is what I was telling you up here. It doesn't look bad. I mean, it's a little rusty and nasty, but you just clean that up. This is the worst rust I have, I think, is right here. And if I take that brush, kind of clean it up. Maybe even take a wire brush and run around it. It's not horrible. This is the worst part right here, and I think I can clean that up even. Get that where it's respectable. So, let's look. I think I already filmed on the back, but the back's in great shape, man. There literally is nothing wrong with that. Clean metal with paint on it. And then where the mirrors were, got a little bit of rust. And this has been drilled a couple times for several different kinds of mirrors. Got something down here, and then I got something up here on the top with the door's A-pillar. So several different kinds of mirrors been added. It got a little bit of crud right here going on where the windshield, the radio antenna goes. So I'll clean that all up. I want to go back with an original antenna on it right here. I think they look cool. Very, very workable. Can't wait to start doing the work on it. I gotta head back to work in the morning, so I'll keep you in the loop. Because it was so thin right here where I've been cutting it and popping, and it just came off. So I got that off. Again, then I took my grinder and just ground the edge of that so that flare's gone. And then I ordered online all my goodies. So this piece right here is the joint that